Do you know the phrase slop?
I know what slop is.
But like in terms of internet, it's like a slop channel. It's because it's called internet slop, like whatever, like commentary channels just like talking about whatever's happening that day, whatever.
Okay.
It's now referred to as slop or internet slop, and so now it's technically a slop channel.
Okay, I wasn't aware of this
So
new lingo.
kind of like Moist Critical is technically a slop
Yeah.
channel. Pyrocynical, Pegasus. There's another guy I can't remember. Just like any kind of like channel that's considered like a commentary is now considered like a slop channel.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I follow.
Yeah. But they have to post daily also for it to be considered. Because there's some people who maybe only post once a week because they take time.
There's like a big news story that
they'll take time to like research and put something out.
Okay. Anyways, hello, my name is Bjorn.
I'm Ashav.
And this is the Underleveled podcast.
Speaking of internet stuff,
Wait, no, remember what we talked about last time?
No.
Oh my gosh. So what we need to start doing at the beginning of an episode, right?
Like and subscribe.
Okay, well maybe not in such a shitty way. It's like
don't like and subscribe.
If you'd like to how do we do this?
Thanks for watching. No, but thanks for the support over the past few weeks. The channel's growing steadily. So can keep liking and subscribing. Why'd you look at me like that? It's true. The channel's growing. Thanks for the support. Keep commenting and liking, subscribing.
Why is it so much more difficult to do this at the beginning of an episode?
I don't know, because I feel like I haven't given
anything.
Yeah.
That's
it's like asking for something without doing anything.
Is that how you treat all your relationships? You only feel like you can receive love if you've given love.
Oh, let's not dive into
that. Dad!
Why'd you leave me, Dad?
Honestly, I expected you not to show up because I asked you to go get some milk. But yeah, we do this pretty regularly. If you'd potentially like to see more of us, we have loads of videos. And we actually have quite a few episodes up now. This is going to be 25. That's not bad. That's a quarter century.
Which means after this, Leonardo DiCaprio will stop watching our channel. Thanks for the support, Leo.
But please feel free to drop a comment on anything we might say today that triggers the shit out of your brain. But what are we actually talking about today, Hushav?
A lot of stuff, but I wanna just tell you some news I found out. Breaking news.
Let's hear it.
One of the internet's biggest mysteries have finally been solved.
Yeah?
Why Dr. Disrespect was banned from Twitch.
Okay, so wait, how many years ago is this now? Because
it's got to be about 3 or 4 years now. I think it happened around COVID or just before COVID.
There were rumors about him being problematic or something to do with, did he cheat on his wife or something?
No, that was a difference. I mean, a lot of them did. Maybe it was that. I don't know.
Okay.
But that's not going to get you banned from Twitch.
No, fair enough. That's a personal, yes, that's a scummy thing to do, but it's also a personal issue, not necessarily a company issue. I don't know. He's a company. He's a business.
He is a business. So a former staffer from Twitch came out and said that Dr. Disrespect is a huge Drake fan. He was texting them children using Twitch and inviting them to meetups.
No.
So Twitch was trialing this thing called Twitch Whisper. And he was
even the idea. Wait, this is tickling something in my brain, dude. Whispers, sending whispers.
Yeah.
I remember people talking about this.
I mean, a lot of the places use whispers. I mean, I know on our D&D that we play online, on I can't remember, on the Forge,
yeah,
has a thing called whispers.
Okay,
and that's when you just want to message someone directly.
Yeah.
So anyways, he was using Twitch whispers to sext minors and invite them to meetups. So obviously,
so shitty.
Yeah, Twitch was like, well, no, do that on your own time, not on our platform. And yeah, so that's why he was banned.
I mean, wait, so confirmed.
Confirmed. There was a former Twitch staffer who revealed this. I assumed his NDA is probably up and he can talk about things now.
Dude, that's so shitty. That's so scummy. Dude, what the fuck?
Is he on Kick now, Dr. Disrespect? Because he'll fit in there, being a PDF file and everything.
I don't know what that laugh was, but Kick is in the shitter at the moment. They're not doing too hot.
No shit. They let their creators get away with
Pornography.
anything.
Yeah. And then so a former, not community manager, but one of an ex-Kick member who left recently, she dropped a massive YouTube video talking about like how people talked about their...
Was it the one that has cancer?
She doesn't have cancer.
Oh, okay. There's another one about... Okay.
So this former employee at Kick, she talked about how within the company, the way people like negotiated new contracts and all that kind of stuff, and how horrid they were, and like would use and abuse. Like, she gave an example of a streamer who has cancer.
Oh,
who,
okay.
The higher ups at Kick were talking about how they would like, they were gonna use that as leverage to be like, oh, she's like, once
she's not gonna be around long, so we don't have to.
Yeah. Just really horrid language and dropping slurs all over the place, that kind of stuff.
I mean, you look at the people they allow on their platform. Of course, the higher ups are gonna be somewhat similar to that.
To be fair, the one of the owners, I can't remember his name now, or one of
Trainwrecks?
No, not owner, but CEO. He did like also go live or like drop a video saying, we were not made aware of any of this, and if it is true, we will launch inquiries, but there are no, like, she also didn't necessarily give receipts, but it's also tough to when it's just stuff overheard within the office space, and if you're not like a higher up with access to email chains and whatever, it can just be tough to actually have proof with you.
Speaking of CEO live stream platform CEOs, did you see Twitch's CEO came out to introduce their new feature to Twitch, which is going to be kind of like a TikTok?
So first of all, if you've never seen this guy before, the CEO of Twitch looks like a cowboy. He looks like what's it Willie Nelson does.
Yeah.
It's
old
maybe
school cowboy, long gray hair.
Yeah. He's like a bit cringe sometimes, but for the most part seems like a solid dude.
Yeah, he seems to really enjoy gaming. But anyways, he was introducing the new feature, which is kind of going to be like TikTok. It's going to be like shorts that you can instantly clip and then upload.
Okay, I was going to say it works quite nicely with clips, technically.
So whatever you clip, you can instantly upload it onto their like almost TikTok. And he's talking about how already the algorithm has been pretty, it's really like solid and will cater to what you enjoy and bring you what you want.
Hot tub streams.
And so he was going through his one and showing.
Oh, dude.
And it's just titty streamers. So everybody online is like, you ain't slick, you gooner.
Oh, dude. Gooning and cooming. Favorite words to use against someone. And soaker.
No. I hate it. I hate the moment you and explained to me what that meant.
Soaking.
I could have gone my entire life and I would have been happy. Sometimes I wish I lived in a simulation.
Hey kids, do yourself a favor. I'm sending you some whispers here. Just go to Urban Dictionary and look up what soaking is. It's a good time.
I'm sorry, Bjorn. I said I sometimes wish I lived in a simulation.
You can't. You're so bad at doing segues. How does it relate to anything we were saying? That's such a shit way to do that. We're talking about simulators, people. It's simulators 3, y'all.
I thought it was a good segue. Let me know in the comments. That was a solid segue.
Okay, Brennan Lee Mulligan, get in
the comments, gang.
Come on, launch into a monologue.
I was just going to repeat what he says. Oh, he's so good. I am so jealous of his
Master
mind.
got me. No.
I don't know if you've seen... Okay, we're segueing again, but there's a very funny clip from... I think it was Make Some Noise episode with him, Zach Oyama, and I think it was Jacob was the third person. I can't remember. But
normally, if they're making some noise, it's normally them and Josh.
It wasn't
Josh Rubin.
It could have been Josh. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so the prompt was like an inappropriate time to say like shut up. I can't remember. In like, I think it was just an inappropriate time to say shut up. So Brennan Lee Mulligan kind of sets the scene as this like alien who's come down to find like the chosen one.
Yeah.
And he's just explaining like all this lore or whatever that's happening in the world and how this is like the chosen one. It's like, I have traveled far across planets who have been destroyed by the dark forces called the Shadow Ones. They have been, and he's just been going, and then he's like, I bring you the sword of justice. And he's been going for like 3 or 4 minutes, and Zach is just not interrupting him.
I think Zakayama, minimalistic kind of comedy, but he always knows when to drop it.
I think people say he's the master of the and.
Yeah.
In improv.
I think same kind of vibe is when it's I think what's it? A defendant ruins his whole lawyer's argument. Once again, Brennan goes on for 3 minutes. And then Brennan at some point says, my client is not a perfect man. And Zach immediately goes, yeah, I killed him.
Yeah, I know, I killed the guy.
So Zakayama, great like one line, like small amounts of comedy that fit in perfectly.
Yeah. He picks his spots well.
Not that we're comedy experts in any way, shape,
I'm a
or form.
comedy expert.
Really? Really now? Oh, how's your...
I did stand-up simulator.
Fuck me dead in the asshole, dude. I actually cannot. My teeth are whistling.
I'm 2 for 2, gang.
Get in the comments.
Get in the comments.
You miserable fuck. We're talking about simulation games.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all...
What a fucking rabbit hole we went down looking at simulation games, eh?
Okay, I think easiest place to start. What simulation games have we played, are we playing, will we play?
Okay, we specifically looked at job simulation games. So we kind of left out Sims.
Or like racing games as well. There's a lot...
That counts as a job.
Simulation games, there's so many like types of it. The Sims being the most iconic one. But for me, I didn't include sports ones, which to me includes stuff like racing, because racing is a sport. Same with fishing. I try to stay away from those.
Fishing is a sport.
Fishing is, and weirdly enough, so is chess. They're athletes. They're absolute athletes.
I would say fishing is more of a sport over chess.
So you're equating physical activity to whether or not something's a sport.
Yes.
So what are esports?
Electronic sports.
So wouldn't chess be like a B sport, a board sport?
Call it that.
But it's a sport. It has sport in the name.
It's an e-sport.
Okay, you know what? Fuck the rest of the episode. Is chess a sport? I say
is it at the Olympics?
Ooh, so many sports aren't at the Olympics.
Okay.
Surfing wasn't until like a year ago.
But I always consider that a sport.
Yeah, you always considered surfing a sport, even though it wasn't at the Olympics.
Yeah.
But your criteria...
But now it justifies it being a sport by being allowed into the Olympics.
So did you not consider surfing a sport until it showed up at the Olympics?
No, I always did.
No, so that's the point. So you did...
But it being there now justifies me calling it that.
So if chess ends up in the Olympics...
I will concede and say it's a sport.
I'll let you have this one.
Woo! 3 for 3. Yeah, so we left out sports, life sims. What was the other one? It's kind of like a city manager type things.
Oh, well, that's like more strategy kind of games. So City Skylines is a simulation game, but it tends to be a bit more strategy based. Tycoon type games as well. But simulation is a beautiful category, and I've come to realize I love simulation and strategy games above all else. But
specifically now, job simulator games or just simulator games in general? Because we know you love a good farm simulator.
I think simulation games in general. But what we are talking about now is this weird subsect of simulation games that are like almost blue-collar job simulators. And a friend was over yesterday and we were having coffee and just chatting, and we got into this topic, and they're super liberal, like very much anti-establishment kind of person. And we got talking about this, and they were like, hey, there's potentially some real fucked up shit when it comes to these jobs, and we'll get into it. But
yeah, I also
examples.
I looked a bit also at the psychology of why we love simulation games.
Okay, so I wonder if that is the same as why we love these games. So what we're talking about, for instance, I've been playing Gas Station Simulator. I've played PC Simulator or PC Building Simulator. Pretty much any game where they just say a job or a thing you can do and add simulator to the end of it. Who should have been playing?
Supermarket Simulator, as we've talked about. I took a look at some Power Wash
Simulator.
Didn't play it. Watched some gameplay for Thief Simulator.
Okay, I bought it and I've yet to play it. But I also got Cooking Simulator. So
Cooking Simulator.
How insane is it to let's just start at the names, right? I made a list. I made a whole ass list on.
I wonder how many simulator games out there that didn't include simulator at the end that we've missed because they didn't put simulator in
So
the
I
name.
can off the top give you two. 911 Operator and the sequel 112 Operator do not have simulator at the end, but maybe they're a bit more strategy games. They're not necessarily a first person kind of situation, but they're from the same developers that make a shit ton of stuff. So let's have a look here. Oh, House Flipper.
Oh, you love House Flipper.
I do enjoy House Flipper, and I think potentially House Flipper is one of the.
I barely know her.
I think House Flipper was maybe one of the ones that started this whole I don't know.
No.
Avalanche.
I think it would have been Power Wash Simulator was the first, I think, breakout simulator game.
We can
excluding. Oh yeah, we also excluded animal simulators. So no Goat Simulator, Stray, or anything like that.
Yeah, true. So.
I think it's either gonna be Power Wash or Euro Truck. Those were like the two big breakout
the driving ones.
Yeah,
the driving ones are also not, and we're not talking about the sports driving, not the fast
cars.
No.
This is just someone driving across Europe in a truck.
And Flight Simulator also a thing.
Flight Simulator, yeah, but that was really only appeal to a very niche. Where I feel like Power Wash and Euro Truck Simulator hit more wider, especially with TikTok and streamers.
When did Power Wash Simulator come out?
They're on Power Wash 4, I think.
What? I thought there was just the one.
I'm so sure there's been 4, or it's just been numerous different Power Wash simulators, which haven't all been called Power Wash.
Okay, so I'm looking here at the Steam page.
What was the year that I said at the top?
2022.
I feel like that was something before that.
Well, this is the only Power Wash Simulator in existence, because that's why I was so surprised, because I'm pretty sure I saw it on YouTube in 2022.
I'm so sure I've seen a Power Wash Simulator 4.
So that's the thing, right? If we go just based on this weird subsect of job simulators, then the earlier ones are 2017.
Which is your 911 Operator.
Also, no, you had Car Mechanic Simulator in 2014 was the first one. Car Mechanic Simulator was 2014, 2015, 2018, and 2021. And so technically, it could have been that.
But yes, simulator games existed. But what?
This specific
not brought it to the mainstream, but brought a lot more attention. And
dude, honestly. Maybe it's just because I'm into that kind of stuff, but I genuinely believe it's House Flipper. Because House Flipper was everywhere, and the first one came out in 2018. Yeah, the first House Flipper was 2018. Oh, wait, I got here. Giant Machines. The earlier ones are the mid to late teens is when this whole thing started. But ever since COVID, it's absolutely skyrocketed, to a disgusting degree. So potentially Car Mechanic Simulator, House Flipper, Thief Simulator, Farm Manager, Treasure Hunter Simulator. These are all 2018, 2017 kind of games. And from that point on, it was chilled, and then boom, dude, it exploded. And that's why, for instance, I played Gas Station Simulator. You've been playing Supermarket Simulator. These are both relatively recent games. Gas Station Simulator specifically. Do you know? Wait, actually, Hujav, do you know when Gas Station came out? I can't find it on my tab.
Gas Station. You told me it came out now.
2021. So Gas Station Simulator came out in 2021, and Supermarket Simulator came out in Feb of this year. Helped along probably by streamers, especially someone like Queso.
Yeah.
But even, dude, it's like an industrial complex. It's disgusting how many games are in this like genre. But before we get too much into like all the games that are here, why do we like simulation games in general? You said you did a bit of research.
Yeah, so it kind of like a lot of people want to switch off and be in a flow state.
Yeah.
And simulation games kind of offer that without any of the high stakes or disappointment that you'd see in real life and other video games. If I fuck up at my job, I'm costing the business some money.
Yeah.
I fuck up in Supermarket Simulator, I can just restart.
Yeah.
There's no negative effects to the work that I'm doing. And because it is what's the word when like you do the same thing over and over again?
Repetitive.
It's soothing. It calms you down.
Okay.
And because we also, when we're playing, and because it's a video game and you want to see, upgrades, people, I can play the game for maybe two or three like in-game nights. And I can, if we're looking at Supermarket Simulator, I can go from a store that's like as big as this room to double the size. And you're seeing
the sense of progression.
Yeah,
is
you're
incredible.
seeing that sense of progression immediately. Where in my actual job, I can't speak to a lot of people. I know I'm not seeing a promotion not for another 2 years. And in all these other games, you see quote unquote promotions or your store getting bigger and bigger, like obviously much more quicker. And so it like scratches that bit of your brain. It gives you that dopamine rush.
So here, now we can get into the addictive aspect. So what I looked into more was the addictive side of it. And especially the games we're talking about, right? Maybe not the Sims and stuff. I think
Sims is living out of fantasy.
The
almost.
Games we are talking about right now, it's become such an onslaught and such an avalanche of these kinds of games because they are so addictive. And the people making them have realized how addictive they can possibly be. It's the feedback loop is instantaneous. So especially for someone like you who has ADHD, right? And I think the games, the like sense of speed and feedback is insane. It also helps that like you're not actually just a worker, right? You own the business. So in every single game we talk about, you own you see like you make all the decisions, you see all the like finances come in, and like you said, it's such a fast like hit that like I get stressed out. I do not have ADHD. I literally, in Gas Station Simulator, you can control which parts of your like gas station. So you have a workshop, you have a store, you have the actual fuel pump, you have a power washing area. You have a lot of different parts to it, and you just switch different parts off because I physically cannot handle the amount of like stimulus I'm getting.
Employees, man.
But no, I've got one now.
One.
But I'm like 10 hours into the game, maybe a bit more.
Light work, man.
But I think it's like there's so much going on, there's so much stimulus, and it does not stop. That it can just be very good if your brain is wired to be in that constant state of like a rush. And like you said, it's like it's very much, it scratches the same itch as gambling does. And like if we're talking about addiction, because you're getting those constant like small wins maybe, and hoping for like the big payoff, which is like getting that upgrade soon or whatever.
Seeing like putting something on, not on sale, but like marking it up by a lot and having it just sell out.
Yeah. It, in some degrees, do you remember Game Dev Tycoon by any chance? I played the shit out of the game.
No.
There was a second one that was kind of garbage. The first one was a cute little indie game kind of vibe. But basically, you start off and you are this guy in his room making games in the early 90s. And there's because of copyright, they are all the usual players that we see in our world, but they were like, instead of Nintendo, it's Mintendo.
Xbox, Y-box.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And you build up and you start like buying new office spaces and whatever. And the way you make your games is by like doing different sides of like art and programming or whatever. And these little bubbles like get assigned, and you do sliders trying to make the perfect combination to make the perfect version of this genre.
Yeah. I played a very similar mobile game.
Yeah. And you get that rush when you feel like you've maybe learned how to do it, and you like it. Your games don't ever like necessarily flop too hard, but none of them like really send it. But then once in a while, you will get a game that absolutely launches into the stratosphere, and you make millions upon millions of dollars in game. And it's once again, it's that gambling, dude. It's like it's so fast, and you're hoping for this one game
Yeah.
to really shoot you to the moon.
So yeah, one of the things I'm also like I was thinking while I was researching is like, okay, so why are these so much more popular, and not like a lot of people will flock to something like, let's say like an Elden Ring.
And don't get me wrong, Elden Ring,
super fun game once you
loads
get
of people
it.
play
Yeah.
it. Like so many people play FromSoft games.
But you think about then, there's a low level of entry to this compared to a lot of other video games, and maybe Elden Ring is too much of a big skill gap to compare. But like most other games you're gonna play, there is gonna be some level of past gaming experience that you're gonna need. Whereas things like The Sims or the simulator games, it's almost little to no like gaming knowledge you need to know. You can hop in, you can play it, you can mess up, and there's not gonna be any repercussions per se in the game. Like in Supermarket Simulator, yeah, if I don't have a certain product, I just get a customer giving me a little thumbs down.
Yeah.
I'm in gas simulator,
Gas station
simulator, you can just leave somebody there just waiting in line
Yeah.
the entire time, and there's not going to be any repercussions. And then when I think, if we compare it to other video games, like let's say Elden Ring, I know this is very chalk
If you
and
die,
cheese,
you
but
get sent back.
yeah, but there's also like the amount of emotion you put in fighting a boss,
Yeah, it's very
getting
stressful.
pushed to the edge there, and then having to die and having to
Yeah.
then go through that all again.
And then
It's
the
a lot.
frustration builds.
That's a lot for like some people, where this is more chilled, where this is kind of like fits more of our mold when we did our Stardew Valley-esque games.
Okay, so I will say, when it comes to this specific brand of job simulator games, the person not getting like if you leave someone in the queue at the store doesn't make a difference, mainly because the games aren't polished. Like it's just it's not been coded into the game to like for anything to happen. And this kind of moves.
Do you just want to play the simulator?
No,
just like be in real life.
No, Hushaf. And this is a constant throughout all of these games. The level of polish is not there, dude. It's like I said, it's the industrial complex of job simulators. They're all like, I think they've reached whoever. So, side note, there's a publisher called Playway S.A. I think SA is an extension like PTY Ltd that they use in Poland specifically. Like in Germany, it's GmbH. And there are literally just hundreds upon hundreds of games coming out of Poland that are all job simulators, all like, and I think they've somehow fine-tuned the level of addiction in every single one of these games. It's all busy work, by the way. There's no story, so to speak.
Your gas station simulator
it has
does.
Calling it story is an insult to story.
But compared to everything else we played, where they kind of just throw you in the store and that's it.
Yeah.
Gas station does have a story.
Yes, loosely. Point being, right? They've fine-tuned not only the level of addiction, but the amount of jankiness and bugginess players can stand before they drop the game. So, Gas Station Simulator, of the ones I've seen and played, actually is relatively polished in comparison, and relatively more of a finished game than a lot of them.
Yeah, but I think like the most popular ones we talked about are all on that same level.
Yeah, they're a bit more polished than the rest, but they are still buggy and janky and have like just gaps in, I guess, the gameplay that you would expect. So, like that person waiting in the queue, never really getting unhappy, or the worst thing being that like you get a thumbs down.
Yeah.
Right? That's something players are willing to accept, and because otherwise it will detract from that like addictive loop that they've got going in the games, regardless. But so many of these games, they've fine-tuned how shitty it can be without turning players off, or like which parts of the game players are okay with being shitty. It's crazy to me how it's like delicate. Like they've delicately found that balance, but maybe that's also because they're throwing so much stuff out there that some of them will just hit that like sweet spot. I don't know. It's a wild west out there, dude.
The thing is, like, I want to talk more about like the amount of stuff they put in a game like Gas Station Simulator, but I also feel like I haven't played enough of these other simulator games to be like, yes, they just kind of put everything in.
They don't put everything in. I think
No, but like in like Gas Station, like we've talked about this before, but you can pick cars.
okay.
You got your car wash.
So-
you got your repair station, your
Yes.
gas pump. You got a little kid that comes in every day that you need to chase away.
Dennis.
Then you got your dust storms that come in. You got an alligator that you need to feed.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? You're going off that list. Gas station simulator, right? Like you said, you have a workshop. You have a car washing section. You have a store. You have a fuel pump. You have a warehouse. You have, and so that's pretty much
And that
what
warehouse, you can eventually start having concerts in there.
unreal. So that's about all the stuff I've unlocked, and then like employees and so on.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing, right? Gas station simulator is a weird combination of, it's more complete in the sense that you have a bunch of different jobs like included. So for instance, gas station simulator has a store. You have supermarket simulator and grocery store simulator.
Yeah.
Gas station simulator has a car cleaning section. That's just power wash
That's
simulator.
power wash.
It has a workshop. That's just all the mechanic games. And trust me, there are a shit ton of mechanic games out there. So many. What else? It has a lock picking mechanism,
Thief.
which is just like the thief simulator games. But it does
It's
all
more
of them.
akin to like the Skyrim lock picking.
Yeah. But it does all of them worse than those individual games.
Yes.
So maybe
it's just a feature that they have. They're like,
yeah. It's maybe a more complete experience overall, but it does each of those individual things worse than those other games. And I think I just want to rant for a second here. I want to talk about mechanic simulators. I think because Car Mechanic Simulator was so popular, let me just read some of the other kind of mechanic simulators you have. You have Plane Mechanic Simulator, Off-Road Mechanic Simulator. You have Yacht Mechanic Simulator, Tank Mechanic Simulator. What else? You have all the different car mechanic simulators. You have Rover Mechanic Simulator, which is the what should we call it?
Jeeps.
The Mars Rover. You have Motorcycle Mechanic Simulator, Train Mechanic Simulator, Roller Coaster Mechanic Simulator.
Well, a lot of them done by Playway also.
Yeah. So we'll get into that in a moment. There's also one called Post-Apo Mechanic Simulator, which is an upcoming game, but it's post-apocalyptic, and they just took the first couple letters of each of those words to make it Post-Apo. Post-Apo Mechanic Simulator is an upcoming game as well. And pretty much all of those have either been done by like Movie Games SA or Playway SA, whatever, or published by those guys. But yeah, so what was the point of this whole rant? Sorry.
You wanted to go through mechanics for some reason.
So it's all about how like they all kind of feel like they should be part of the same experience or part of the same game. But they've just been like isolated.
It's like
none of them are complete games.
but for like mechanics, it's like this different flavors of ice cream. It's like I like cars.
I
like mechanics.
Yeah.
Car mechanics. I like the mechanics part of it, but I don't like cars. Motorbikes. I like that.
I find it it feels insane. It feels like a weird fever dream to have all of these different simulators coming out.
It's not even like a niche anymore. It's just now a subculture of gaming that's kept growing over the years.
I mean,
and it's been dominated by one publishing company.
Yeah, Playway is really out there.
Cropping
it up.
We were doing research earlier this week together, and we were looking through some of the most popular simulator games, and we kind of noticed there's one company popping up again and again and again.
Is pretty much the publisher, or at least partially involved in the publishing of pretty much every one of these games.
It's like they found something that was working. They were like, we're going to double, triple, quadruple down on this, and we will find success.
I do want to ask, like, from Playway's catalog, was there anything that really stood out to you?
It's not a job simulator, but it was just so ridiculous. It was what was it called?
Bum Simulator, where you're a homeless person. That
It's so stupid.
it's such a fucking horrid game. I
So
showed
it's a homeless person simulator.
yeah.
But on steroids.
But on steroids, where you can take like drugs and you can build yourself a little fort and like
And you can attach bombs onto pigeons and use them as like homing bombs on your enemies.
and it becomes like almost like a tower defense game where you are defending against other bums that are trying to invade your like little
like your little
cardboard
alleyway
castle.
thing.
So that was one of them that was just ridiculous.
I didn't play Thief. I watched it and I can see why it got really good reviews. It does look like really fun, a lot of fun.
What was it? Another one, Drug Dealer Simulator. There's also a second one of those, but that's from Movie Games, which is a different publisher. Potentially the same guys.
Who did Eurotruck?
I actually don't have that on this weirdly long list. But I can look it up.
I'll look it up, yeah.
No, don't stress.
Keep scrolling, man.
Okay. Hacker Simulator looked really, really dumb.
I bet they don't.
Oh, sorry. Of the upcoming games,
Yeah.
for some reason, their upcoming games are the weirdest ones out there. Top of the list, I Am Jesus Christ is
it? And who's it by?
So the developers on I Am Jesus Christ is called Spaceboat Studios and Simula M, and is published by Playway.
Okay, it was Euro Truck Simulator wasn't done by them. It was done by SCS Software. They developed and published it.
Okay, thank goodness. Garage Flipper is an upcoming game, also from Playway as the publishers. The Pope, Power and Sin is a Pope simulator coming up from Forest Light Games, and it's published by Playway and by Forest Light Games themselves. And like it gets nicher and nicher. So for instance, sometimes you'd have Airport Simulator, right? But now they have American Airport Simulator. And I think that's why I wanted to talk about like operator, 911 operator and 112 operator, because 911 focuses mainly on the US, hence the 911 number, but they have options for like international. Then 112 is the sequel that focuses mainly on European like operators. And I find it so funny how like it is like niching down and niching down and niching down. And I wonder what the next evolution will be of like, okay, you're a mechanic, not on cars, but on this one specific car part. You're a radiator mechanic simulator.
Southern mechanic type, yeah.
And you have quite a few of those out there where they like start going regional, which I find so funny.
I mean, this is making me actually want to look into the history of Euro Truck Simulator and see if it started off as just like Truck Simulator, and then they got niched down into Euro Truck Simulator.
Sorry, also just another one from Playway. Did we talk about U-Boat by any chance?
We talked about it on our call.
Yeah.
And I was like, I bet you're gonna see one of your family members on it.
So U-Boat is it's a World War II submarine simulator. The problem is, well, maybe not necessarily a problem, but both
solution, as your people would say.
The developers and the publishers are Polish, right? And in the game, you are playing as a Nazi. You're a German submarine sailor, and the people making the game are Polish. And I'm like, it's weird that you would make a game centered around the people that did the most horrid shit to your country.
And money's money.
Fair enough. Money is money. That's from 2019.
So
or early access though.
The thing, when we look at a lot of these games, a lot of them are not like indistinguishable from the others. They seem to use a lot of these same assets.
Dude,
like it always seems to be like the Unity Play asset store bought.
Did you look into this at all by any chance?
No.
Because every single one of these games looks the same.
I know they look the same, but I'm assuming it's all because they're probably using the same, not engine, but like Play Store, Unity Store.
Yeah.
Asset Store. There we go.
So It's also,
and I think it's because it's Playway. I'm sure it starts off looking differently, and Playway finds them and like, okay, hey, let us help you out, gives them some assets to use, and it's why it starts
potentially
looking all the same.
it could also just be production time. So if you look like at this list, 90% of them are between 2020 and 2024. The sheer amount of games that they are pushing out in this genre, I think speaks to the fact that like they're not giving it dev time. They are, and to develop a proper separate identity, you need like longer time, and you need to like make models more unique.
No, if you
don't give people like developers a chance to like do that, or like you encourage them not to do that, then they won't.
It does feel like they're just spinning a board and waiting for whatever word pops up. Like, all right, wall simulator, let's go.
Wall painter, Southern wall painter.
You know,
Southeast Asian wall painter.
Someone
simulator.
should do like some type of toy simulator, like kind of like a Build-A-Bear type simulator. I'm sure that would slap.
Okay, well then let's talk about it. What kind of simulator would you like to see?
Adolf, no.
Stalin.
Ooh, what would be? I feel like window cleaner might like scratch that itch, because the thing about power cleaner that people really loved is having something that's really dirty, and just like, you know, making those like clean lines as you slowly take off the grime and dirt.
Like
so I feel like maybe like a window.
So in House Flipper, you had power washing mechanics, right? You clean the windows, you clean the walls. You could you used like a pressure hose. You could use a little squeegee, and I feel like they just took that, plopped it down, power wash simulator.
I'm not sure like what part of the brain it like scratches for us, because I remember on Vine, power washing content was huge, which of course then also translated into TikTok.
I think it's just like it is satisfying.
Yeah.
What you have like satisfying mashups, dude. I love watching people clean carpets on YouTube.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen anything like people like they kind of like carve out soap and like they make like the lines in it, and like they push like a knife across it, and like it comes out these perfect like blocks. I don't know if you've seen that.
Is that just like a satisfying?
It's like one of those like satisfying things.
Okay, I have not seen that, but I can imagine
it's
it being
like
it's
like on the bottom half of a lot of like TikTok videos, where like the top half is like a Reddit story.
Okay. So I don't know exactly what part of it scratches people's itch, but
but you're right. It's like that satisfaction of like seeing something clean. So I think So window cleaner for me. You got anything? While I try to think of something else.
What simulator would I like to? Honestly, it's tough because they are all there. I don't know what would be actually interesting. Maybe like a...
You say that, but like
library.
You don't know.
Oh, dude. Wait, what if they watch this and they get a bunch of please, will we
get
royalties?
Can you put us in the game?
Librarian simulator.
A librarian simulator.
Where you like...
I can see that working, because having to like go put the books back and type of thing.
Stamping things in and out, interacting with people, having Dennis like fuck up some books and you having to chase him out.
Speaking of like interacting, that was like another thing that people said that why simulation games do so well is because you get to interact with people without having to interact with people in real life, if you know what I mean. Like if you in customer care, like when you deal with a customer, there's so many things that can go wrong. But when I deal with a customer in a game, you know what you're gonna get.
It's so one of two options.
Yeah, and people like that you can have an interaction without any of that negative aspects being attached to it.
Well, it's once again, and there's no risks.
Yeah.
There is no risk whatsoever of anything going wrong.
Sorry, but I interrupted your librarian.
No. So, but once again, I don't want it to be part of this industrial complex, because I would like it to be a more fleshed out kind of game with actually like interesting characters. The fact that in all these simulation games, it's not only is it incredibly lazy with just being like boom job simulator. Okay, it's like I would like there to actually be characters or there to be a story. But the moment you like do that, you would actually have to think of a title for your game.
What about like it's like a library outside time, and you have like famous like philosophers and stuff who come into the library, and sometimes the librarian, you have to help them out. Like Shakespeare comes in and he's like, oh, I'm writing this play. Is there any books that could help me for this play, and you have to go and research and be like, you should check out these books, and you get all these like famous people who come in from time to time into your library.
I don't understand why the famous people would be coming in. It would feels like
it's like a library outside.
It's like a gimmick.
It's a library outside time.
Oh, okay. I guess I see. Like having mechanics that, like organization.
Because you said you wanted something a bit more interesting and not, I can't remember the word you used.
Maybe I meant it more in the sense of like more polished and more fleshed out. Okay. So not just like job, here are the total number of tasks you can do, go do them. I mean it more in the sense of like I feel like having like an interesting cast of characters, having a town to actually like interact with. And for instance, if there's town meetings and like you can apply
Again, it sounds like you just want Man the Simulator.
No.
Because I think it becomes a point where it becomes too realistic and it takes away from the enjoyment of it. Because I think you spoke about earlier, like having some of those buggy messes kind of like reassures you that you're playing. It's a video game at the end of the day. And
no,
I don't want
I disagree with you
realistic.
So strongly. Bugs do not do that for me. I think bugs. Yes.
But I don't want like an ultra realistic.
No,
like,
I'm not saying
simulator.
No. I'm talking like having it fun, and there's a lot of ways to gamify these aspects.
Okay.
I'm just trying to come up with different tasks that aren't just the usual ones we see in every single simulator game. I don't want to have a library and then essentially just like have to clean and like paint. Right? That's because we've seen that in every other game. I'm talking have it be like have there be purpose to the game being a library game, right? What makes a library unique compared to a gas station or a supermarket? Otherwise, they are all the same game. Like we've been saying, they all look the same. They all play the same. They technically are just the same game, but you're a person in a different setting. Like I'm saying, make tasks unique to the library that actually feel a bit better.
How's this? Going back to what I said, kind of like with the people, like any person comes in looking for research, you can give them like books and stuff they can use for the research.
Yeah.
And then the next day you take a look at the paper because you gave them like all the wrong research. It's like Professor what's his face disgraced as all his research has been torn apart by other experts. You're like, whoops, my bad, I gave him the wrong books.
Okay, that can tie into like approval ratings of you as a librarian and your library in general.
I'm trying to build a game for you and make it warm.
I know that. I'm saying that's a pretty solid idea. Like knowing how the library works, an organization, and making sure the books are like neat and tidy. That should be part of it. I think that leans towards the simulation stuff we've been talking about.
If it's set in America, you have to go for hearings in order to fight for money for the library.
And then we make a library in Asia. And
I don't know if you saw it, but like they slashing money for the library again in America.
Classic.
Guess where it's going?
Defense.
The Popo.
Classic. But yeah, I think, and don't get me wrong, I really like this weird thing that's come out of simulation games in the last couple of years. I enjoy a lot of them. I just wish there was maybe a bit more like effort and love put into a lot of them, because they do just feel like copy paste a lot of the time.
How much of Euro Truck have you taken a look at? Because that seems very polished.
In general, not the biggest fan of like driving simulators.
Didn't like Need for Speed as a kid.
Dude, Underground 2, best game in the franchise, 100%. But I didn't.
People say that, but I actually really liked Carbon.
That was past my time. Carbon was like 2014 or something, 2010. No. Need for Speed Carbon.
Need for Speed Carbon came out after Most Wanted.
Oh, Most Wanted was a banger.
Yeah.
But this is all like I've never ever considered going back to Fast and Furious. Like, driving cars and stuff in games is cool. I never enjoyed the aspect that you are just in the car and you couldn't get out and stuff. I know Carbon.
I didn't. That's as a kid. I also didn't really enjoy it, but because Need for Speed had a really cool story, or some of them, like Most Wanted, Carbon. That's why I really enjoyed it, because I'm more of a story person.
Okay.
And so if you give me a reason to play a game, I will put up with just being a car.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, story oftentimes takes the back seat to it just being a fun experience. especially now, like where I'm actually pushing to finish Horizon Zero Dawn, as I mentioned every fucking episode.
One day.
I've just got.
What are you gonna do next? The Lego version or the? What's the sequel called?
Forbidden West.
Forbidden West. Yeah.
But I've just gotten to. I don't know how far you got, but I've climbed a tower, found some hidden records about the history and how the world ended up as it did.
No, I'm definitely not that far yet.
Okay, regardless, I'm coming to realize how much fun I have learning about the history of the apocalypse and also just fighting different monsters and getting better at fighting monsters. And I never fast travel. I'm always running from point A to point B, trying to avoid monsters, be stealthy, all that kind of stuff. That learning about the history and enjoying the gameplay are so much more important to me than the story. Maybe because I'm struggling to relate to Aloy as a character, or just because of like quest design in this world is a bit
But
whack.
also, maybe the relate part is because you're taking a lot of breaks in between.
I've been playing fairly regularly the last like couple of weeks. That's the thing.
But you've been doing this since last year.
No, well, ish, because I restarted. So I've restarted the game twice.
Okay.
So I am like actually following the story and I remember the plot points, so on. I feel no drive to actually. The reason I'm continuing with the main storyline is not because I'm trying to help Aloy find her mom, because I understand what's happened.
I know, I'm with you. The world is more interesting in Aloy's story, but that's also because I've seen Aloy's story done so many different ways.
It's tough as to like separate myself knowing, because we know what the world's about. She is going to be like, oh, what is this weird ancient device? It's a fucking watch.
Mom?
Yeah. So like I'm looking at the story, I'm like, oh, I know exactly how this is going to go.
Yeah.
I know exactly what Aloy's relation is to this person we see in the holographic projections. There is no mystery of it in it for me at the moment. The mystery comes from not knowing what happened to the world.
But I think for me, like a lot of things, I know how they're getting from A to Z. I'm here for the journey.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. I think I am going to finish the game for sure, just because I'm having so much fun exploring and seeing the world and figuring out the actual mystery. Because isn't that fucking weird? How the mystery of the world is actually way better done than the mystery of the main storyline, because us as modern human beings, not this like post-apocalyptic human being, know exactly what this technology is and know exactly what actually is happening, but not knowing what happened to the world is way more interesting to us. But this is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Would you ever want? Here's the thing: would you ever want a solid answer, or do you think creators should give like a solid answer to exactly how the world came like this? Because if I think of games, and horror games do this the best / worse, where they'll kind of give you something and a little bit of clues, but they'll never definitely confirm that this is how it happened. And like Five Nights at Freddy's is like the biggest culprit of this, where it's just the creator Scott Cawthon has always just dropped a bunch of clues, but never confirmed any theory or like this is definitely how things happened. Would you prefer to just be left up to you yourself, have to figure it out, or would you like in game to be a definite, this is what happened?
I'm in two minds, because on just like talking about like satisfaction and like how like seeing something be completely cleaned or something being ticked off or whatever, it feeds a special part of our brains, I think, to see something be finished. So on the one hand, I love when things are just like neatly tied up and wrapped up in a bow. I think I always appreciate that so much, because it gives you like a little scratch. But just on good story writing and good world building and like faithfulness to, there always being a bit of mystery. And we talked about this in our mysteries episode, actually. The fact that when people create worlds, they strive to always leave a bit up to the imagination.
Yeah, for just engagement with the audience also.
Yeah, I think
to do their thing.
I think having like I've had frustrating moments in video games where you are given a choice, like for instance in the first Witcher, where there's a woman that some people are saying she's a witch and she's done all these evil things, but if you look at the game and there's no like interactable objects, there's no clear dialogue, there's no clear like reading to be done. But if you look at some things, it is possible that she was actually 100% okay and like she did nothing wrong. She was just getting revenge against the humans that did this to her, whatever. There isn't a clear cut answer, and it's always like kind of bothered me not to know the truth. But I understand how it makes the world feel so real, and it makes you want to explore more in hopes of finding the answer. So, like I said, I'm in two minds. It's almost a 50-50 split down the middle. I would love for things to be ticked off completely, but I really enjoy exploring and trying to find things out for myself. And if I come to an answer on my own, all good and well. Maybe it will not be as satisfying as being told exactly this and this and this. But it has its place. I don't know. You? Where's your feelings?
So I'm gonna talk a bit from Five Nights at Freddy's perspective. Because I think I definitely prefer things. I like a solid answer, things to be wrapped up, and I got into Five Nights at Freddy back when it all started back in, oh god, what was it? It must have been 2013 or maybe it was 2014 when the first game came out, and having all those like small little like story lore elements just like tucked away in the game is great, but never getting a solid answer and having clues kept being dropped, new things, new theories being created because of that clue, nothing ever being wrapped up and always being left up to like you. And there's a lot of things that Scott did. Like, I'm of the personal belief that he never knew he never knew what story he wanted to tell, how he wanted the lore of Five Nights at Freddy to begin or end. And he kind of was just like, I'm just going to keep dropping little things and let the community devour themselves over it, which in turn, grew the community to as big as it is today. But I don't mind small little things, but at some point, it doesn't have to be in that same game. It can be 2 games later in Horizon Zero Dawn 3, where I finally get that answer, and I'll be happy. I just don't want it to ever be unanswered and just left up to me.
Is Five Nights at Freddy's a simulation game? Yes. You're simulating being a night guard.
Yeah.
It's a simulation horror.
Yeah.
But okay, so here, it's indie game. Graphics, not great.
Not great.
Gameplay, incredibly fun and suspenseful.
We're talking about the original one,
the original
not like
Five
the
Nights
new
at Freddy's.
ones,
No.
ones.
The original Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay?
Yeah.
It is not called horror guard nighttime simulator.
Yeah.
It is called Five Nights at Freddy's. It's drawing attention to something else. It's because of the like Freddy's being the place, the name of the like animatronic pizzeria. The 5 nights. You have to survive 5 nights.
Yeah.
It's not as lazy. It like actually is kind of interesting, the name, and the gameplay is fun, and there is a bit of story. Not a crazy amount. You can You can also choose to ignore the story and play the game if you want to. But that is an example of a simulation, essentially a job simulation game with limited like gameplay where everything feeds back. It's not like you're out there cleaning your desk and shit, but
But that only had like one mechanic, and that was to check the cameras.
And I'm not saying like it's not necessarily on the scope of the other ones, but I think it grew to this size because it was, there was a bit of love there. There was a bit of like actual interest.
See, but I would disagree. There is love, yes, but I think it was more because of the story and because of its open-endedness that was able to grow. Because a lot of people can come up with theories, so a lot of videos made, more people kept talking about it. It's not like that type of horror wasn't ever done before, but it had a.
I'm also not drawing a one-to-one, by the way, with the other simulator games, but it is actually a pretty good like comparison, I think, to make of like all these other simulation games we're seeing. They all feel like cash grabs. Yes, they're fun. Yes, that's a whole nother thing. Side note. Do you think they're actually fun, or are they just addictive?
I think both can be true.
Okay, I guess they're not mutually exclusive. I do have a thing of like it's just busy work that's addictive as opposed to actually being fun, because the mini games I've spent the most time in Gas Station Simulator, so I can attest to the fact that the mini games aren't actually that fun. They try to do a couple different things when it comes to mini games and try to make everything a bit of a mini game at least, whether it be pumping fuel or doing the cash register or painting or stealing from people's cars. There is a mini game for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the game itself is actually fun.
I kind of know what you mean, because sometimes when like I was playing Supermarket Simulator every day, there'd be some days where like, oh, do I want to play Supermarket Simulator? And I just load it up, and then as soon as I do like my first task, I'm like, yeah,
you're hooked.
I'm in flow states.
Yeah. So that's why I asked, because I don't actually have an answer to whether I find it fun.
You know, thinking back, I would say it's more addicting, because like now I'm playing through like Pokemon Vanguard, and that's like I'm very excited every day to come home and play it, to find out about the story in the game, see the new Pokemon. Whereas like in Simulator, I was like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll just do like one day and then I complete a whole fucking week's worth.
Yeah, it's also
in-game week.
Like another thing would be the fact that because there is no story, there's no reason. With a lot of these games, what happens is the first like 5 hours, incredibly like it's quick. You're getting your hits, you're moving, you're like, flowing, and then mid game, there's a couple of things. A lot of them, and this is where like the level of polish and the level of like story really starts to like rear its ugly head, because once you start getting to the mid game and the late game, there's nothing there for you.
Yeah.
There's nothing to warrant spending 200 hours in this game. Okay, and even one of my favorite games of all time, Stardew Valley, has this issue of like the mid to late game has famously been a bit of a slog and a grind, because all you can save up for is like something that costs 10 million galas or whatever it's called.
It's almost like, you know, after a certain time, it reaches its natural end, whereas like a story-driven game, your natural end obviously is the end of the story.
Yeah.
And then there's not a lot of incentive to do, you know, anything after the game besides collect 100 of the fucking feathers or whatever.
Which is so Assassin's Creed 2, my goodness.
Anything of that. But it has to plateau at some point. And I think that's going to be different for every person. But the fun has to end at some point. You can't keep doing it.
The addiction has to end at some point. And I think that's my biggest problem with this type of game, is that because there's no story, and because it's almost like they just want to hook you in the beginning and expect you to play like 20 hours and then you're done.
Yeah, no replay value.
Which is also why a lot of them don't get updated, or like they don't fix things eventually. Like a lot of the games I like on that list, they were just dropped by the developers after like 2 years.
Just like early access, and it's pretty much the same as it was in early access.
Yeah. What was the one I was talking about there earlier on that was an early access? U-Boat Simulator. It got released in early access in 2019. It is still in early access. And without ever having played the game, without having looked at a trailer of the game, I know exactly what you do. You walk around this boat, you close things by clicking on them, you like clean windows.
Look at your sonar.
Probably
a mini game somewhere.
Yeah. I have no doubts as to exactly the kind of experience I'll get, and there will be no combat. If there is combat, I will be pleasantly surprised. Well, it's that time of the week again when it turns out I've been a silly little goose boy, and I'm talking out my arse. So, turns out, U-Boat Simulator is hella cool. I highly recommend you go check it out. It's a super in-depth World War II simulator game where you're managing crew members, and dictating what they should and shouldn't be doing at highly intense moments of the game. You travel across massive sections of the Atlantic. You also go a bit into the North Sea and the Mediterranean. You fight against planes, other ships, and submarines. It's really cool, very in-depth, and I highly recommend, if you're an enthusiast in World War II stuff, to go check it out. As always, I'm a silly little goose boy, and back to the episode.
Fighting your own men on the ship. What, you realize you don't want to be a Nazi no more.
But yeah, it's I don't know. I hate that I love these games though. I think that's my main takeaway after spending the last little while looking at them and trying to figure out what the fuck's actually going on, is I am ashamed to love these games as much as I do, because they hook you, they're addictive, and yes, you'll run out of steam like in a couple of hours with it, but the next game that hooks you, it'll be the same like cycle over again.
But you know what we also didn't talk about for these type of games? How did you feel like a certain sense of to get back into like Horizon Zero Dawn? Like, it was a bit daunting to get back and that story. You don't have that with a simulation game, because you can just hop back in whenever. You don't need to remember.
Debatably,
you don't really need to remember anything you did before.
It'll take you like a bit of hesitation.
It'll take you like a second or two to remember things. But if I was like, I haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2 now, and I haven't completed the story ever, so it's my first playthrough, and I haven't played it since Feb now, so that's 4 months.
Is it because so that's obviously
and that's
story.
like and every time I think about it, I'm very like
hesitant. Yeah.
Because I was like, I got pretty far through the game. Maybe I'm like halfway through at this point.
Yeah.
But then like to go back in and try to remember all these relations that you had, all the strategies you were using. It's a lot.
Yeah. Whereas
Supermarket Simulator, I know 1 year from now, if I don't play for 1 year, I can hop back in 1 year from now and I'll be fine.
It's almost like the ultimate casual simulation game.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know what it says about us as a society that we have treated, being a cashier as like something to be entertained by.
It's weird. Like, even celebrities do it. Like, every other day you see ex-celebrity worked a day as a barista. Sabrina Carpenter just did it.
But isn't that research? Like, they're researching for a role.
No, they just do it. They're like, what's it like to live a normal life?
That's crazy.
I think Lana Del Rey did it, but she didn't tell anyone she was doing it. She went to work at a Waffle House just to work at a Waffle House.
That's hilarious.
A couple of YouTubers do it all the time.
But okay, so for YouTubers though, that's different because normally it's for content.
Yeah, there's another famous person who did it recently, Kylie Jenner.
What'd she do?
She went and worked as a barista at Starbucks or something.
Okay, undercover or
No.
But okay, so I think the moment you do it, for clout, essentially, like if you record it, it immediately loses all its value because you're not actually getting the genuine experience.
That's the same as me playing Supermarket Simulator.
Oh shit! You're getting the fun, I guess,
without the stakes. Like, they don't have to. They don't have to like be nice to the customer all the time. They don't have to worry about if they mess up an order. And it's the same when we play our simulation. We don't have to worry about all that. It's not our livelihood.
That's wild. I feel like there's so much we've said, and I can't wait to watch this back and be like, oh, that's interesting. That makes no sense. I'm going to have to throw in another one of those things where it's like, Bjorn, you dumbass. You had no leg to stand on here. But that kind of, I want to round out our conversation there for today.
Yeah.
Before we end, anything to add? Anything we might have missed that you really wanted to talk about?
Oh, man. I wish we had more time. I would have loved to talk about the Nintendo Direct. But that can be a conversation maybe for another podcast.
Yeah. One word summary? Mid.
No, how dare you?
You agreed.
No. I've actually
receipts. We literally have receipts.
But I've actually changed my mind since then. Now going over everything again. I was like, oh, yeah.
We have receipts, Husha.
I can change my mind.
Fair enough. Anyways, so my name is Bjorn. This is Hushav. And today we talked a bunch about simulation games and our feelings around them. I don't know if we came to any concrete answers, truly. I think a lot of back and forth. If we
kind of more dissected what it is to play a simulator.
And specifically this weird subgenre of simulators. But if you have any thoughts on it, please let us know in the comments on our socials.
Now we can say leave a like and subscribe.
See, now it feels natural, doesn't it? But yeah, we talked about this a lot. If you've played any of these games,
let us know how Euro Truck is, please. I desperately do want to get into it, kinda. Maybe watch a streamer. Queso, if you're watching, please play it.
It would be pretty cool if Queso watched this. I really regret We didn't say anything disparaging about him, did we?
I'm a fan, so
Okay. It's
we have a good relationship.
I can say whatever the fuck I want because I'm a fan.
It's kind of like a thing, like only like fans can make fun of him, but like somebody like outside tries and you're like, oh, fuck off. You don't get him like we do. We'll protect you.
That's so toxic. Oh my goodness. But this has been the Underleveled podcast. Thank you so much for listening and watching and just appreciating, lending us your time and your ears. Always appreciated. Hushav, what do you want to say for our outro, dude?
Most people believe we live in a simulation, but I believe that I am in a himulation because I'm him. Thank you very much.
We hope. Please have the good day. This is horrid. Oh my goodness.